This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Well, I think, personally for myself, I just didn't really realize I was being abused because I was so horribly manipulated and I was being groomed and I was brainwashed to think that my doctor was a good person. And so what I'm trying to do is really talk about and educate people.
An exclusive interview with Olympic gold medalist Aly Raisman. She was abused by a Team USA doctor. Now what she wants you to know. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. Our exclusive interview with Olympic gold medalist Aly Raisman is coming up. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. Local boy does good. Palmetto native Willie Taggart has reached the pinnacle of the college football world. He is the new head coach of the Florida State Seminoles. Taggart replaces Jimbo Fisher, who resigned to go to Texas A&M. Known as a rebuilder, the 41-year-old Taggart coached at South Florida for 4 seasons before going to Oregon. But he says coaching the Noles has always been a dream.
All those years, I wanted to be a Nole and supported the Noles and never gave up on it. And now we're here today, and now I'm the head football coach. Florida State Seminoles, and you talking about chasing a dream and always wanted to be a part of, and I can officially say I'm in now.
ABC7's Marla Spence went to Manatee High School, where Willie Taggart played football. With more now on how the school is reacting to Taggart's move to Florida State.
Coach Willie Taggart played right here on this football field at Manatee High School back in the early 90s. A coach who continues to work here says he witnessed Taggart's athletic abilities firsthand on this field, and he says from then on he knew Taggart was destined for greatness.
You knew when he was in the huddle, he was very confident, and the players that played around him, I think they played better because of him. But his leadership skills, he didn't say a whole lot, but just because of his example in the huddle, it would just speak volumes for him.
That example is what landed the hometown hero back in his home state as the new head coach at Florida State University. Bowen Summer, who is the Booster Club president for Manatee High School, says he grew up watching Taggart play. Summer says the Alumni Association of the school inducted Coach Taggart into the school's Hall of Fame last month, not knowing he was about to make a big transition back to Florida from the University of Oregon.
I remember being in Gainesville at the '92 state championship team and just watching him and those group of guys, and it kind of fed into my desire to play football at Manatee High School. And now to see Coach Taggart not only go on and excel, as a player, but now also as a coach, as an alumni and as the Booster Club president for the football team. I want our young kids to know what they can aspire to do.
And one goal Taggart aspires to accomplish is to become the first African-American coach to win a national championship in college football.
If anybody has any attributes to doing it, it's definitely Willie Taggart. So maybe he'll come back to Manatee High School and recruit the area. I know he has ties here.
And if Taggart doesn't make it this time around, there's no doubt he'll be back in the near future because, after all, this is his hometown. I'm Marla Spence reporting for ABC7, your Suncoast News.
2 Manatee County schools were locked down today after a nearby shooting. A victim was transported to the hospital with what's believed to be non-life-threatening injuries. The 2 schools were locked down were Somerset Elementary and Southeast High School in Bradenton. Deputies are looking for those involved. Now get this, the mayor of Davenport in Polk County is under arrest on allegations she used dead people's disabled parking permits to park at City Hall. Mayor Darlene Bradley faces felony charges of using a deceased person's identification. She is also charged with possessing an altered counterfeit decal. The sheriff's office says Bradley was videotaped parking in the disabled spot recently, and the search of her home led to the discovery of permits issued to 2 people who have died. The mayor was booked into the Polk County Jail and released. Florida's House Speaker is signing on to a bill making texting while driving a more serious offense. The legislation would allow law enforcement officers to pull over motorists if they see them texting. Under the bill, first-time violators would face a $30 fine for a non-moving violation. Second-time offenders would face a $60 fine for a moving violation. Speaker Richard Corcoran says the time to make the change is now.
when you look now, 50,000 crashes, 200 plus deaths a year in the state of Florida, 9 every single day in the nation. The time has come to go out there and create this as a primary offense and protect people and create that environment where people can be on the roads and drive safely and be safe.
Florida is only one of 4 states, while texting is not a primary offense. More than 57,000 Florida residents are eligible to receive medical marijuana. Nearly 1,300 doctors are approved to prescribe it. There are about 180 patients a day being added by physicians to the registry. The director of the state's Office of Medical Marijuana says since the medical cannabis industry is new, there have been a few hiccups.
It's a new industry. There are we take an initial approach of my approach as a regulator is it's educational, where we work with these MMTCs to ensure they're aware of the regulation, what the laws are, and then come down if we need to.
Bax adds the timing from the application to the receipt of an ID card should not be more than a week, starting in mid-February. Now let's head over to ABC7's chief meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the first alert forecast. Rainy and getting cold, Bob.
Yeah, things are changing, Alan, a little bit slower than anticipated. Right now, we were thinking more so the cooler air would be here on Friday. It's going to postpone now till Saturday, and that's when the cold weather will start to move on in. And I just checked the long-range forecast, and I can tell you this, that winter is here with a vengeance. It's going to stick around for a couple of weeks once it moves in, too, it looks like. 72 right now. We had a nice week all week long. We've had temperatures in the 80s. It'll continue tomorrow. Dew point is at 70. That high dew point temperature, calm sky or calm winds and clear skies will allow that fog to form. Now that could be an issue tomorrow morning, so keep that in mind if you're going to be commuting. It could be a little longer if that fog is a little thicker. Now, what's going to be happening is that this front, which is for the most part stationary right now, just to the north of us, and it looks as though we will see this front eventually slide down. The front extends all the way over into Texas. Now behind it, much colder air. Now we're going to wait for this system to push on through. It's going to take its time. Eventually it will connect up with this front and it will give this one a little push on through, it looks like, beginning on late Friday and into early Saturday morning. No rain around now. Things are fairly quiet out there. We're looking pretty good. Some interesting weather though is going to happen. This is front sticks around. You're talking heavy snow possible in Georgia, heavy snow possible in Alabama and Mississippi, because that cold air is going to come in and all that moisture around. There's a real possibility of getting some snowfall into places like Tallahassee and Pensacola over the weekend, for the most part, late Friday and into Saturday. This late week cool down, as you can see, the polar vortex, which is typically hanging around the poles, has a little lobe that's going to be stretching down into our neck of the woods beginning on Saturday now. So highs on Saturday will only be into the low 60s. I mentioned earlier that the secondary one, which will be coming in late next week, is going to be colder than this one.
You know, Bob, if I remember correctly, they don't deal well in Atlanta with snow.
I remember going through there once in Macon. I saw cars spinning out quite frequently. Right. It was a very scary situation there. Yeah, you're right. Tough driving there, and looks like our string of 80-degree temperatures will come to an end beginning on Friday.
All right, thanks a lot. And still to come, she has won 3 Olympic gold medals, 2 silver medals, and a bronze in the Olympics. Tonight, an exclusive interview with Allie Raceman discussing the abuse she endured while on the Olympic team by a physician when she was as young as 15 years old. Stay with us.
Are you a food lover, restaurant goer, or home cook? Then check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, and helpful step-by-step videos. And you'll love the restaurant guide with direct links to your favorite Suncoast eateries. Whether you're cooking in or dining out, whet your appetite with tasty tips from Chef Judy at mysuncoast.com/dining.
It's the holiday sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKC Sport Utility for $269 per month or a 2017 MKZ for $279 per month. We have a great selection of certified pre-owned Lincolns. These vehicles have warranties up to 100,000 miles and come with complimentary roadside assistance. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We are located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-652-3012. That's 1-800-652-3012. Call now, 1-800-652-3012. For a free brochure, call 1-800-652-3012.
My name is Haley. I have Fragile X syndrome. I work with Chartwells at Einstein's and FAU. I like being up front and interacting with students. The students are very nice and very hungry. Having a job is a big ticket for independence.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
Download the all-new ABC7 First Alert Weather app now.
First, it was the sexual harassment allegations in Hollywood, then the political world, journalism, and now sports. Erica Jackson is here to explain. Erica.
While we may see athletes as strong and fearless, they can also be victims of sexual harassment.
It took 8 years for three-time Olympic gold medalist Aly Raisman to share her story. In her book released last month, Raisman revealed that she is a victim of sexual assault, sharing, quote, "Realizing that you've been a victim of sexual abuse is a horrible, sickening feeling." Now she, along with fellow gymnasts Michaela Maroney and Gabby Douglas, claim they were sexually harassed by former USA gymnastics team doctor Larry Nassar.
It affects everyone. Unfortunately, it is out there.
125 victims have come forward with allegations of harassment against Nassar. He pleaded guilty to 3 charges of criminal sexual conduct and 7 charges for sexually abusing girls under 15 and faces up to 60 years in jail for child porn possession. Kathy Wilson with Centerstone says victims tend to come forward together, knowing they are not alone.
Certain groups tend to come forward at certain times, and then you might see a kind of snowball effect.
Centerstone serves about 1,000 victims of sexual harassment, assault, abuse, and rape annually. Therapists have worked with kids, law enforcement officers, judges, and heads of companies, but understands why some people have trouble understanding athletes could also be victims.
They're immune to that. They're not going to be victims of something like this. But really, it's all about power control and also just making someone feel like they don't have, control over what's going on.
They're teachers on a field and in a sport, so it should always be a professional relationship. But there's a mentoring relationship that takes place as well.
It's not just a national issue. Former Manatee High School football coach Rod Frazier was accused of sexually assaulting 7 females at the school. He pleaded no contest in 2014 to 4 misdemeanor battery counts and 2 counts of interfering with school attendance.
We try to be extremely proactive and let those students know what to look out for and what's acceptable and what's not.
State College of Florida Athletic Director Matt Ennis says all staff members have to go through training sessions before working with students and athletes. He says SCF buckled down after former Penn State football coach Jerry Sandusky was found guilty of 45 counts of child sex abuse, but explains the school has always been proactive.
They go through sessions such as prohibitive harassment training. They go through training about Title IX and what that means, what their actions can be if they see something and need to help step in and prevent things.
The NCAA is taking action at the college level. It created a sexual assault task force in 2015 to address assault claims among students, staff, and athletes. Wilson says similar programs will inspire victims to come forward.
We're a very victim-blaming type of society where it's always about why a victim was somewhere or what they were doing instead of really looking at the perpetrator and their motives.
Every school should have a system for responding for those things, and being quiet isn't going to solve anything.
Athletes aren't just victims. A study published last year in the journal Violence Against Women revealed 54% of male student athletes admitted to committing at least one sexually coercive act in their lifetimes.
Erica, thank you. In a moment, our exclusive interview with Olympic gold medalist Aly Raisman.
Attention type 2 diabetics. The FDA warns of an increased risk of amputation associated with certain diabetes medications. If you took the diabetes medications Invokana or Invokamet and then suffered an amputation or one of these other serious injuries, call the Rely On group right now. If you've suffered amputation or any of these injuries after taking your diabetes medication, call the Rely On group today. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA has recently warned about an increased risk of leg and foot amputations associated with the use of certain diabetic medications such as Invokana and Invokamet. If you or a loved one took the diabetes medications Invokana or Invokamet and then suffered an amputation, ketoacidosis, kidney failure, or even death, call the Rely On group now. We are here to help you get the justice you deserve. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-355-8205. That's 800-355-8205.
Meet Blue. Blue's not feeling well. The prescription? Generic medication. Blue wonders, do they really work as well as name brands? Yes, generics and name brand medications do work the same. Even though they may look different, generics have the same key ingredients. FDA approval is equally rigorous for generics to make sure they're as safe and effective as name brands. And Blue even saves some green, making him a little less, well, blue. Talk to your doctor about generics and visit fda.gov/generic drugs.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Coming up in a moment, our exclusive interview with Olympic gold medalist Aly Raisman. The two-time captain of the U.S. women's gymnastics team recently revealed that she was sexually assaulted by Team USA doctor Larry Nassar. Other members of the Olympic team say that they were as well. The entertainment, political, journalism worlds continue to reel from revelations of sexual harassment and assault. Now the sports world and our most accomplished Olympians. And joining us for more is Phil Helmuth, the athletic director at Booker High School, and Kathy Wilson, who counsels victims of sexual harassment, assault, and abuse at Centerstone. Thank you both for joining us today. And Phil, let me start with you. When the revelations about the Team USA doctor came out, were a lot of not only teachers, coaches, students, and parents at Booker talking about this and what it meant for athletics?
Absolutely. It's one of those things that there can't be enough awareness about. And of course, when something like this happens, it's good to talk about it and keep it out in front of everybody. And that, the biggest thing we have to do as adults, as educators, as coaches, we have to keep it out there and make sure the awareness is up there and people can react to it.
As times have changed, is the awareness of the problem and the reaction to it have also changed in terms of schools and how schools handle things like this?
I think it has. You know, we've had, of late, we've had so many cases where, you know, in politics, all kinds of different arenas, you know, this has come up. And it's constantly in front of us, so therefore we as adults, especially as educators and coaches, et cetera, we need to, you know, be in the front line of keeping it out there.
Kathy, you know, this has kind of exploded onto the national consciousness right now with what happened to Harvey Weinstein and the Senate candidate in Alabama, the journalism world, and so forth, and go on and on. But you have been dealing with this for years, have you not?
Yes, actually, when I first came to Centerstone about 11 years ago, I was hired to be the supervisor of the Rape Crisis Program, which we had since the mid-'80s. And we really worked directly with law enforcement in the hospitals when a rape victim or someone victim of sexual assault comes into the hospital or reports that crime to the police. And so we have been dealing with this for many, many years. And a lot of times people are really surprised about how frequently we have reports, how frequently people are getting abused. And
give us some idea. How frequently does this happen to the point that it gets to your attention?
Well, we treat both adults and children, and I believe last year, last fiscal year, we treated over 1,000 clients, individual clients with different levels of abuse, sexual abuse that's happened to them over that period of time.
Have you seen a difference since this has really been in the news with the Larry Nassar situation and everything that's happened from Hollywood to Capitol Hill,
Right.
in terms of the frequency people are coming in and how families are and victims are reacting to it?
Anytime there's a story that comes out or there's a national spotlight is put on abuse in general, we do see an uptick in our calls. And generally, that's good. We see that as a good thing. It's generally because people are hearing about it. They feel a little less frightened to come forward. They feel that they get a little power from other people's stories. And so they're able to come forward. And sometimes we just get calls from other people wanting to ask some questions about it and want to know for their own neighbors or their children's sake what signs they should be looking for or what they can do to help people.
If we only have a few seconds left here, but has the directors from the school district changed in terms of how the athletic department coaches and teachers handle allegations?
Probably the biggest thing is just having an awareness of it, and the essence of what the approach is trying to make everybody aware that it's very important that we make our kids feel comfortable about coming forth and just talking about it. And it's a relational type thing, and that's probably the essence of what we want them to do.
Okay, we are just getting started. We'll have much more on sexual harassment in athletics right after we check the First Alert weather, so stay with us.
Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Make your holidays sparkle with style. Browse our amazing showroom, cute collectible cottages, and beautiful Christmas displays. Find the inspiration, selection, and quality you need to deck the halls merry and bright. Christmas Traditions also features the area's largest selection of quality pre-lit Christmas trees, every size, shape, and color, and plenty of decorations to make your home shine for the holidays. Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Visit us on New 301, just a quarter-mile north of University Parkway.
You love your couch and want to protect it from spills, food, and scratching, shedding pets. Introducing Couch Coat, the reversible, washable quilted cover that protects your couch. Shield against spills, wow, stop stains, and dirty pet paws and sharp claws. Plus, it's reversible with 2 stylish colors. Guaranteed to fit any couch up to 92 inches or your money back. It even has covers to protect armrests. Machine washable too.
My grandkids destroy everything, but with Couch Coat, my couch is always protected, looking as good as it did the day I bought it.
Get your Couch Coat for just $19.99, and it's reversible in brown and cream, like 2 couch coats for the price of 1. Order right now, and you can double your offer. Get a second Couch Coat. Just pay a separate fee. Order right now.
Call 1-800-943-0710 to get your couch coat. Call now or go to couchcoat.com. So call 1-800-943-0710. That's 1-800-943-0710. Call now.
WWSB ABC7 is an equal opportunity employer, and we're looking for qualified people to join our dynamic team. For a list of current openings and to apply online, visit www.mysuncoast.com/contact/employment. If you're a motivated team player and you want a rewarding career in a fun, fast-paced working environment, WWSB ABC7 could be the perfect fit for you. Check out our list of openings now.
All hands on deck. What's up? I want to point out 3 tips for using the home computer more safely. Point away.
First, stop. Make sure your software is up to date and that you've password protected your computer's login and Wi-Fi connection.
Next, think before visiting a site, opening attachments, or clicking on links.
Then connect, knowing you're helping make the web safer for you
and for everyone. Make Stop, Think, Connect part of your daily online routine.
Our conversation on sexual harassment and interview with Allie Raceman continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Beautiful day today. Look at this Casey Key webcam showing calm conditions out there in the waters. Seas running less than 2 feet. Different story, though, as the weekend approaches. We're going to have small craft advisories, which will be issued for our coast as a result of this frontal boundary, but more so a storm system developing along it. Right now, it looks as though the warm weather that's been around will eventually move out of here. We're going to see this cold front slide through, and with it, the coldest air of the season will move in. And it's not going away anytime soon. It's going to stick around, looks like, over the next 8 to 10 days after it moves on through. Now, some showers to the north of us. This is also going to produce some snow. We talked about this earlier over the deep south, even into Florida. North Florida going to get some snowfall out of this, especially on Friday night and Saturday morning. We're not going to get that here, but temperatures right now, low 70, 73 in Bradenton, 72 now in Venice. The Gulf water temperature still very warm, 74 degrees. And with the warm water temperature, there's a possibility of getting some fog tonight. It could be rather thick in some areas. Now, the trends for temperatures, we were anticipating Friday to be a little bit chillier, but now it's going to be delayed until Saturday and Sunday in the low 60s there. We'll warm up just temporarily a little bit on Tuesday, and then it drops down again for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. Current conditions, we have fair skies, 72. Dew point temperatures high at 70. The winds are calm, and the pressure is way up there still at 30.06, although a little lower than it was yesterday. The high today was 80, well above the average all week long. We've been in the 80s. Tomorrow we'll be there again. Friday, probably not, and then the 80s will go bye-bye for a while, it looks like, at least. For the next 8 days after this Friday. We could use a little bit of rainfall. We're below average for the month thus far, and for November, it was a very dry month, so some of the lawns around town could use it. Now, this colder air is going to kind of run into this stream of moisture coming in from the west. We'll get snow and freezing rain over parts of Mexico and into the western portion of Texas. This eventually changes over to some snow and freezing rain from near New Orleans, stretching off toward the panhandle of Florida. All the purple that you see there, that's snow. Atlanta will get in the act too, and it looks like we'll see some pretty heavy rainfall developing, especially late Friday into Friday night and Saturday morning. Some of the rainfall accumulation could get as high as up to an inch, inch and a half in some isolated areas. We're not anticipating anything too rough as far as severe weather goes or rough storms as they make their way through the southeast. As far as rainfall accumulation, I mentioned that there is some isolated areas that could get up over an inch of rainfall. Now, this particular model is depicting that rain in northwestern portions of Manatee County and also over Pinellas County, but still, it looks as though we will see some pockets getting up to about an inch of rain. For boaters tomorrow, it looks like this. Seas will be running 1 to 2 feet. Morning fog possible. Southeast winds turn to the south at 10 knots, and the water temperature now at 74 degrees. Tides upcoming, low tide at 7:45, just a few minutes from now, and sunrise will be at 7:07 tonight. Partly cloudy, warm, 66 for your low, and some fog developing late. Tomorrow, the morning fog burns off. We'll see a mixture of sun and clouds throughout the day, 80 degrees for a high, which is above average, and then things start to change. Friday, clouds move in, showers mainly late in the day and into Friday night, Saturday morning, turning cooler and then staying below average right through the work week next week. Alan will be back with his guests right after this.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. The IRS is cracking down on those who owe back taxes. They send out devastating letters, garnish paychecks, and even put liens on your home or business. You may have heard of it. It's called enforced compliance. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists who will negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms and can negotiate a tax settlement with the IRS. It's that simple. And if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars, finally ending your financial stress. Now is the time for a fresh start. Now is the time to call Tax 10,000. 800-699-3188. That's 800-699-3188. Call now.
This is an important announcement. If you're between 50 and 85 and worried about your loved ones, you can still get affordable life insurance for peace of mind.
My life insurance coverage is guaranteed, and I was not required to get a medical exam.
I had high blood pressure and diabetes, and I got my coverage with one telephone call. No exam necessary.
I'm a smoker, and I wanted to take care of my family. I called to get my life insurance and my affairs in order. I wanted to do the right thing.
Call Final Expense No Exam Insurance. Your rates are guaranteed and will never increase.
I called and learned that this insurance cannot be canceled even if you get sick or gain weight.
And there are no restrictions on how my beneficiaries use the money when I'm gone.
Approval was easy and the price was right. I wanted to do this for my children.
Call 800-738-9812. 800-738-9812.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Welcome back. Aly Raisman is one of the most accomplished women athletes in American history. Gold medal winner and captain of the women's gymnastic team at the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio. She is also a victim of sexual abuse by team Dr. Larry Nassar, who was just sentenced this month on 22 charges of sexually abusing young girls. Aly Raisman was in Sarasota this week, invited by the Jewish Federation to talk about the 11th anniversary of Women's Day. We sat down with the Olympian who, like so many women, are now saying, "Me too."
I think it's really important that people speak up. I think it's really important that men and women, girls and boys, everyone speaks up, because the more that we talk about it, the more that it's clear that abuse is never okay. I mean, I can't even, it's hard for me to comprehend the fact that we still have to say abuse is not okay. I can't really understand how some people think it's okay to hurt someone else and how many people look the other way. It's disgusting.
Do you think we're at a national turning point?
I mean, I hope so. I hope that it's a big turning point. I mean, it's alarming how many people are being abused, have been abused, you know, people that are suffering in silence. It's a very, very big problem. I think our society and everyone needs to wake up, because it's unfortunately it's so common, and I mean, it shouldn't even happen to one person. So I hope our society can stop victim shaming and being kind and being supportive of one another too.
Is it because of the way things were in terms of talking about these things, which you think was responsible for what happened with Team USA and the physician there, and what happened to you and to others?
Well, I think, you know, personally for myself, I just didn't really realize I was being abused, because I was so horribly manipulated, and I was being groomed, and I was brainwashed to think that my doctor was a good person. And so what I'm trying to do is really talk about and educate people, because I think people don't really understand how complicated abuse is. It's not just you're suffering in the moment that the abuse occurs. It's, you know, it's all the other moments of when that person who is abusing you is giving you gifts. They're making you feel like they're a good person. They're tricking you, and they're telling you all these things. So it's really confusing. And, you know, it's not that simple where you just think, okay, he's hurting me. It's just he was he was very manipulative, so I genuinely thought he was my friend. And you know, he was a doctor, so you would never ever think that a doctor would be abusing his power. I mean, it's just, it's awful. But I think the more we start talking to kids about it at a very young age and teaching them that, you know, that if someone is mistreating you and making you uncomfortable just because they're giving you gifts, just because they're being nice to you, just because everyone says they're a good person, just because they have a, you know, position of power, it doesn't make it okay. In fact, it's not okay at all.
Do you see yourself now as having a role going into the future in terms of communicating that message to young women?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think the most important thing for people to understand is that abuse can happen to anyone. You know, we see society talks a lot more about women being abused, but also, you know, there are a lot of men, there are a lot of boys out there that are being abused too, and we have to talk about that as well. We have to teach men and women and boys and girls to respect each other, and I 100% seeing myself doing this for, you know, as long as I can to educate people and to help people, because I think being supportive to one another is so important. I think being supportive to those that come forward, and also being supportive to those who don't want to come forward publicly. Not everyone wants to share their story publicly, and that's okay. Whether you come forward, you know, right now, in 6 months, in 10 years, everyone has to be supportive. Everyone copes with things differently.
More is Phil Helmut, the athletic director at Booker High School, and Kathy Wilson, who heads counseling victims and sexual harassment, assault services, and abuse at Centerstone. You know, Kathy, when we were airing the interview, you were sitting there nodding your head, like this is a common storyline.
True. It is a common storyline, and unfortunately, but I do agree with her that the more we talk about it, and just like we were talking about earlier, the more we have it on the forefront, the more we're talking about it with our young men and young women that are in athletics and in different venues, the more we're sort of slaying the dragon. We're telling people it's not okay. And it takes all of us to try to eliminate something like sexual abuse, whether it be with children or with adults. It takes really all of us to decide that it's not okay, that we do need to stand up for people and not be so harsh on victims. I think we live in a very victim-blaming society where it's very hard and difficult for that victim to decide to come forward because they know that it's going to be backlash on them. There's going to be a lot of questions about their integrity, about them and personally, and we need to eliminate that so that the people can feel.
We are seeing that in real life right now in the news, where you have the situation involving Roy Moore, the Senate candidate in Alabama, and a lot of people are going after the victims or alleged victims, and making insinuations about them and their truthfulness, and that's part of the problem. But what is also amazing to me is you see this every single day, but Aly Raceman was at the top of sport. I mean, the U.S. Olympic team, but that was not enough to shield her from what's happening to young women and young boys everywhere.
I think the tragedy of this thing, this young woman spent her whole life preparing for this thing. And everything was given, made tremendous sacrifices, and she thought, you know, here you have something that's supposed to be at the pinnacle of her life. She can always look at this thing as being a tremendous, tremendous thing that happened to her. And now she's look back at it, and it's tainted. And you know, she, I'm sure, struggled with that whole thing. Well, should I say anything, or you know, how's it going to be looked at? And then, no, I'm just going to probably sweep it under the carpet or whatever. But you can't do that. The thing I really appreciate about what she did was, as a high-profile athlete, not being afraid to step up and say, "Hey, look, this happened to me," and hopefully, there's a lot of other athletes and other people that are being abused that say, "You know what? This is going to give me some power and some strength to step forward for myself."
What is incredible here is, despite that, Aly Raceman and the other members of the women's gymnastics team, they won the gold medal. Right. They did not let what happened to them rob them of their dream of Olympic gold, but still, there are scars there and things that they will be dealing with for the rest of their lives because of what happened to them.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, you know, I think that that's what shows that people are not weak. We're not weak, and we're not unable to overcome the things that happen to us. And a lot of times, athletes in particular are able to put things in certain buckets so they can perform, because that's what they're taught to do, especially at that level. So I think that just shows us that they knew what they were doing to perform for the country and to bring that pride that we all had when we watched them perform. But at the same time, behind the scenes, we really need to be vigilant as parents, as other athletes that are working with other athletes, you know, peers, and then just passerbyers, bystanders, to really make sure we're vetting the people that are working with our kids and working with you know, vulnerable adults.
And Phil, I think there's something you wanted to say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the fact that they actually won the gold medal on top of all these things happened at that time, I mean, it goes to, you know, how mentally tough they are. And I think that should be an inspiration to all of us, not to minimize what happened, but, you know, there's tremendous things that can happen to us, tragedies that can happen. We can still step up and we can be successful. And,
I'm sorry, but there are still interesting questions that need to be answered. How does a guy like this make it through whatever system to be the coach of Team USA? And I know on the local level, whether you're a coach or a teacher or a volunteer, you have to go through a criminal background check. But what we see here is it doesn't always come up with the problems that could be out there.
Well, I think one of the things that happened is, you know, is they, you know, as this doctor, whoever goes through his, you know, professional career, you know, he's successful. And, you know, people don't want to believe, maybe somebody might have seen this or that or the other thing. They don't want to believe this thing. But what we have to do is, it's kind of like that thing where the way you handle a bully is you stand around that, you know, that person that's getting victimized and you say, no, we're not going to put up with this stuff. So, again, it's the whole thing of being very vigilant and, you know, trying to, you know, make sure that we don't allow this thing to happen. At the same time, you know, making sure that, you know, our athletes, our students, you know, feel comfortable with coming forth and you know, taking the steps that need to happen.
All right, we have to take a quick break. We'll be back for final thoughts when we return.
America, drug addiction is plaguing our great country. Every minute of every day, one of our citizens is rushed to the emergency room with a drug overdose. Many will never leave, never see the dawn of a new tomorrow in our great nation. Call Make America Sober Again now, before this disease destroys your family, your friends, your country. If you or someone you know is struggling with a drug or alcohol addiction, make the next minute in your life count. Make America Sober Again is committed to connecting you with someone compassionate and caring to help you right now. Call now and be connected to a treatment center in our network. Call Make America Sober Again now.
Call 800-793-6592. That's 800-793-6592.
Attention, Americans eligible for Medicare. Are you getting all the benefits you're entitled to? Did you know there may be money available to lower your medical prescription costs? Call Health Markets and we'll tell you if you qualify.
Hi, I'm Dr. Martin Jeetsi. It's a new Medicare year. That means more changes and more confusion. The key question is, what can you do now to ensure you get the care you need in the coming year?
Call Health Markets today. You may qualify to save money on prescriptions. We'll help you find plans that may cost less, cover more, and could even lower your prescription costs to increase your savings. We help you find all the benefits you're entitled to, and we do it at no cost.
Make sure you have what you need to get the care that's right for you.
Find out if you qualify to receive extra help with your prescriptions. Call the number on the screen now. Representatives are standing by.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View. I'm Stephanie Roberts. On Suncoast View, we'll preview the very creative Atomic Holiday Bazaar. Plus, the Players Center brings their 1940s radio hour and JR's Packing House. Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
Get breaking news alerts focused on the Suncoast. Download the ABC7 News app.
And our guests join us right now for final thoughts. So, Phil, what do you want your student athletes, your parents, your coaches, and the faculty to take out of what you saw from Allie Raceman's interview today?
I think there's two things. One of them is the adults and the people in charge need to really just be vigilant. I've talked about it before. The other thing is, and I really would like to challenge, students, athletes, everybody across the board, if something is happening to you, step forward and talk. Find somebody that you can trust and take care of it. We'll stand behind you, we'll process it. That's probably the biggest thing. And I just hats off to Allie for coming forward, and the other Olympians, for doing it, because I think there's going to be a raised level of awareness, and hopefully it'll help other people step forward.
And Kathy, for those people who are out there who would go to a place like Center Stone for help, what do you want them to know about the kind of help that's out there?
Well, it's a non-judgmental, we believe you, first and foremost, and that's probably one of the biggest things they want to hear. They don't want to, they want to be believed, supported, and they want to know what's out there for them as far as their rights as a victim, and that's what we can do. We can certainly give them that support. And I hope that people learn from all of these different people that are coming out that there is life after this. There is someone to support you, and to find that teacher or that mentor or a place like Centerstone to come forward and talk about it is the first step.
And that's a great way to end our discussion. Thank you both for joining us. FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And for the latest local breaking news, don't forget to download the updated version of our app. If your current app doesn't work, that's because it's expired. Just go to the App Store and re-download it by searching for WWSB or My Suncoast. We want to thank all our guests for being here tonight. Olympic gold medalist Allie Raceman, Phil Helmuth, the athletic director at Booker High School, and Kathy Wilson, who counsels victims of sexual harassment, assault, and abuse at Centerstone. When we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather. Plus, President Trump makes an announcement regarding the U.S. Embassy and Israel. Stay with us.
Attention type 2 diabetics. The FDA warns of an increased risk of amputation associated with certain diabetes medications. If you took the diabetes medications Invokana or Invokamet and then suffered an amputation or one of these other serious injuries, call the Rely On Group right now. If you've suffered amputation or any of these injuries after taking your diabetes medication, call the Rely On Group today. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA has recently warned about an increased risk of leg and foot amputations associated with the use of certain diabetic medications such as Invokana and Invokamet. If you or a loved one took the diabetes medications Invokana or Invokamet and then suffered an amputation, ketoacidosis, kidney failure, or even death, call the Rely On Group now. We are here to help you get the justice you deserve. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-355-8205. That's 800-355-8205.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $15 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand with no surprises and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular has received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service 3 times in a row. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. So stop paying for more than you need and start your 30-day risk-free trial today. Call 800-457-2317. Go online or visit a Target store today.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our first alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Thanks, Alan. Here's another vantage point from the Van Wezel looking off into the Sarasota Bay toward Lido. You can see beautiful clear skies as the sun was setting this evening, creating just some gorgeous photos that were sent in to pics at mysuncoast.com. orange and pink sky right there. And what we have is some very cold air bottled up now to the north of us. Now, this cold air is not moving down here tomorrow or Friday now. It's been delayed. It'll eventually be in place, though. We'll have it right over us on Saturday, and looks like it's not going to go away anytime soon. So jackets and sweaters, keep them handy. You're going to need them, especially after Friday. A lot of rain right now across the deep south. That is going to change over to snow. That's right. They're going to get some snow in Georgia and even North Florida on Friday night and Saturday morning. Don't think we'll see any of that here, but 72 degrees right now, very balmy out there, nice, comfortable conditions. Although the dew point temperature is way up there at 70 degrees. That's a dew point that you would see during the summer months, and right now the winds are calm with clear skies and light winds. Fog is a real possibility overnight. Temperatures near the beaches, low 70s, fairly uniform up and down the coast, all in the low 70s right now, from 73 to 74 from Inglewood to Plantation and Northport now at 73 degrees. Well, Futurecast is showing this front kind of hanging out to the north of us at least through Thursday, and then Friday we'll start to get a little push to the south. Now, there's a slight chance for a few showers on Thursday for us. That rain chance very small, but really picks up late Friday afternoon and Friday evening. And look at some of these storms out here indicating some pretty heavy rainfall pushing off toward the northeast in advance of the actual cold front. This is snow. This is Friday evening at 7:30 over parts of Alabama, stretching off toward Atlanta. And as far as rainfall goes, the rainfall could be rather heavy at times. There's still a lot of uncertainty, but we're looking at the possibility of over an inch of rain in places. We'll watch this very closely on the day tomorrow, see if this changes. It will vary back and forth with each computer forecast run, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. Well, lake effect snow is occurring now near Watertown and also near Buffalo, and stretching off to places east now. You can see that lake effect snow in effect as well over portions of Traverse City, and Sault Ste. Marie getting some snow there as well. Temperatures extremely cold in Minot now at 9. It's 17 in Minneapolis. You factor in the wind, and it feels much colder now. And that cold air, this is December 10th, and you'll see that these deep blues and pinks, and that's the extreme Arctic air. This is December 16th of next week, and it'll actually get colder here, I think, next week than it will be this weekend. So keep that in mind. If you have some people coming down, they're going to want to bring their jackets and sweaters along with them. Some fog around the morning hours, the southeast winds at 10 knots. Seas will be 2 feet or less with a light chop out there. And as far as the extended forecast goes, let's take a look at it. 70% chance for mainly showers through Friday night, Saturday morning, and then cooler weather to follow with lows in the 40s on Sunday morning and Monday. Alan will be back with primetime headlines right after this.
What if you had a medical emergency away from home?
My chest hurts. I can't breathe.
What you need is Mobile Help, America's premier mobile medical alert system. Most systems only work at home, but with Mobile Help, you get help outside the home with coverage nationwide on one of the largest cellular networks at the press of a button. Call the number on your screen for a free full-color brochure. We'll send you everything you need, including this base station, the patented mobile device, and the waterproof pendant and wrist button. You can also add the fall button that automatically detects falls and signals help. Call today and receive a risk-free 30-day trial. There is no equipment to buy and no long-term contract. For a limited time, you will also receive a free emergency key box with your plan purchase. Remember, Mobile Help keeps you safe coast to coast.
Call 1-800-916-8638. That's 1-800-916-8638.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
When my youngest, Addie, was 2.5, she was diagnosed with leukemia. When we first heard that diagnosis, you feel extremely alone. walking in that Light the Night light with 6,000 people carrying lights, white for survivors, red for supporters, gold in memory of those who have passed. It's the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's hope that every year there are fewer gold lanterns. Your lantern will make a difference.
Start a team, join a team.
Help us light the night.
Checking primetime headlines, President Trump has formally announced the U.S. intends to move the U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. It's a controversial decision, generating anger and concern from people who believe the status of Jerusalem should be negotiated through peace talks. ABC's Serena Marshall has more.
A signature that took mere seconds, reversing decades of U.S. policy. President Trump declared Jerusalem the capital of Israel and is starting the process of moving the U.S. Embassy there from Tel Aviv. He said this was simply a recognition of reality.
But today we finally acknowledge the obvious, that Jerusalem is Israel's capital.
In 1995, a resolution was passed to do just that, but it has been waived by all previous American presidents due to fears it would spark violence in the region, making any peace talks impossible. Already, various Palestinian factions have called for 3 days of rage. Jerusalem is sacred ground for the world's 3 major religions, which is why making it Israel's capital is so controversial. East Jerusalem has an Arab majority and is seen as a possible future capital of a Palestinian state. No other country in the world has its embassy in Jerusalem. Everyone from Arab and European leaders to the Pope and China's foreign ministry warned against the change.
I have consistently spoken out against any unilateral measures that would jeopardize the prospect of peace for Israelis and Palestinians.
Israel, though, had a different message.
For there is no peace that doesn't include Jerusalem as the capital of the state of Israel.
A belief President Trump agrees with.
We are no closer to a lasting peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. It would be folly to assume that repeating the exact same formula would now produce a different or better result.
The president says the U.S. is committed to finding lasting peace in the Middle East, and he's deploying the vice president to the region in the coming days. Serena Marshall, ABC News, the White House.
It appears tonight Al Franken's career in the U.S. Senate may be over. More than half of the Democrats in the Senate are calling for him to resign. 31 Democratic senators, 13 women and 18 men called for Franken to resign as allegations of sexual harassment against him continue to mount. Republican Senator Susan Collins also called on Franken to quit. New York Senator Kristen Gillibrand was the first senator to call for Franken's resignation.
I do not feel that he should continue to serve. Everyone will make their own judgment. I hope they do make their own judgment.
Franken is expected to make an announcement on his future in Washington tomorrow. Have you seen the video of wildfires consuming areas of Southern California? Tens of thousands of people are being forced to evacuate. More than 83,000 acres have been burned. Part of Interstate 405 was shut down as a wildfire burned dangerously close. Schools are being shut down and much of the affected areas are without power. Countless homes and buildings have been destroyed. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.